Hi, I'm so happy to see you back. Thanks for listening. I wanted to give you a little bit of a heads up on the tool that you can use during these lessons from the book itself. And in case you did want to go ahead and order one before we begin next week, here's a little heads up, okay? At the end of each lesson in His Touch of Grace, and I'm giving you the example for the first lesson that we will start on grace. There's a summary at the back, at the very end of each lesson, and that summarizes all the daily devotions that we're going to do. Kind of brings that whole picture in together, and that's just an awesome way for a review. That's at the end of each lesson. Also, at the end of each lesson, I turned the wrong way, is the Bible study questions. And I'm excited about these. I actually did teach women a Bible study years ago, and I would hand these out, these very questions, out to the women ahead of time and say, go ahead and go through these, and then we'll meet. And we kind of did the summary. Later on, the devotions came, but all of the questions will be answered in the daily devotions that we go through together. However, when you're doing these lessons personally with God, just you and Him, and I'm out of that picture, it's kind of sweet and it's kind of intimate. So that's what I want for you. I want you to have time with Him, for Him to speak and whisper how much He loves you, to teach you about who He is. And you can do that with Him through these questions. As you can see, it's not real long. There's a few pages. And in these questions, there might be a question that says something like, what is the Greek meaning for the word grace? Well, how are you going to find that out? There's a Strong's Concordance that is a wonderful reference tool to find out Hebrew and Greek meanings. The Hebrew meanings are for those words from the Old Testament. The New Testament was mostly in Greek. And the Strong Concordance has those references and the meanings, which are so much deeper in Greek and Hebrew than our day-to-day English. Well, this is how you can find it. If you get this book, I've put those in the back in a glossary. And let me turn again to the reference on grace. The grace word, the Webster's English meaning, and then it will list the Greek meaning for those verses that are referenced in this grace lesson. So when you answer the questions and you have one of those questions, what does this mean in Hebrew? What does this mean in Greek? Oh yeah, I can get that at the back of the book. Also at the back of the book is a list of all the Bible verses that are in this book. And you can see in this list the lesson number 1. And then the page that Bible reference is listed on. Also, it lists the translation of the Bible that was used. So another way to study is get this book. You're going to do lesson 1 with me and with the Lord on grace. And in lesson 1, you could look up these verses ahead of time and sit with the Lord and say, what is it you want to show me in this lesson? So do you see how much deeper your time could be with the Lord, spending that with Him on just your time through the study, your time through the Bible references, but then also together with us and others as we open up and we begin next week on day 1, seasons of our lives. I can't wait for this to start. I know the Lord has had me kind of in a wait mode with Him as I had these books in a local store, sold some copies, sold some of the drawings. You'll see the drawings as we go through the summaries in the drawings. Some of them sold in that store, and it was exciting every time that happened, but it just wasn't what God wanted. And He has a way of showing you that. So as I pulled everything out of the store, I have a lot of books here. If you're local and you want a book, just yell. We can meet somewhere and I can get that to you. But also, this is what He has had in my mind for a couple years, and that is that there needs to be a voice. Let's show the individuals who go through this the love of Christ, and let's just not keep it on a shelf. So thank you for hearing me again. Thank you for knowing that I love you and I love the Lord Jesus Christ with all my heart and soul, and I want you to know Him that way too. God bless. Good night.